Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhuttale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Kadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakaman Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Sam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva ca Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishviki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Ramasamhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Sri Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And there's a second mantra which many of you may not be familiar with, so you have to hear attentively, short. Om Shri Surabhyay Namaha. Om Shri Surabhyay Namaha. Om Shri Surabhyay Namaha. Mukham karoti vasalam pangom langayate grimna yatkripa tamaham vande Sri Gurum Dinatharanam. Yatkripa tamaham vande Sri Gurum Dinatharanam. For some unknown reason, my voice is failing a little bit. I was asked to give the Bhagavatam class, but no one told me which verse. Is there a preference? Or is where we are following now? Okay. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, entitled Divinity and Divine Service. Text number 24. Partivat Daruno Dhumas Tasmat Agnis Trayimayaha Tamasas Tu Rajas Tasmat Sattvam Yad Brahma Darshanam Partivad Daruno Dhumas Tasmat Agnis Trayimayaha Tamasastu Rajas Tasmat Sattvam Yad Brahmadarshanam Partivat Daruno Dhumas Tasmad Agnis Trayimayaha Tamasastu Rajas Tasmat Sattvam Yad Brahmadarshanam Partivat Daruno Dhumas Tasmad Agnis Trayimayaha Tamasastu Rajas Tasmat Sattvam Yad Brahmadarshanam Ladies? Partivat from earth. Darunaha, firewood. Dhumaha, smoke. Tasmat, from that. Agnihi, fire. Trayi, Vedic sacrifices. Mayaha, made of. Tamasaha, in the mode of ignorance. Two, but Rajaha, the mode of passion. Tasmat, from that. Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Yat, which. Brahma, the absolute truth. Darshanam, realization. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better. For by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas. But goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Kindly repeat after me. Firewood is a transformation of earth. But smoke is better than the raw wood. And fire is still better. For by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas. But goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Report. As explained above, one can get release from the conditioned life of material existence by devotional service to the personality of Godhead. It is further comprehended herein that one has to rise to the platform of the mode of goodness, sattva, so that one can be eligible for the devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments on the progressive path, anyone, even from the platform of tamas, can gradually rise to the sattva platform by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Sincere candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such a progressive march. And the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattva. It is a mistake, therefore, to consider that worship of any quality or any form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally beneficial. Except Vishnu, all separated forms are manifested under the conditions of material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help anyone to rise to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from material bondage. The uncivilized state of life, or the life of the lower animals, is controlled by the mode of tamas. The civilized life of man, with a passion for various types of material benefits, is the stage of rajas. The rajas stage of life gives a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the forms of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture, with moral and ethical principles. But the mode of sattva is a still higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one in realizing the absolute truth. In other words, there is a qualitative difference between the different kinds of worshipping methods, as well as the respective results derived from the predominating deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Hara, Shiva. Translation again: firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better. For by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Of course, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us all an opportunity to realize various aspects of Brahmadarshanam, or tattva. Whole Vedic culture actually is meant to gradually bring the whole population gradually to the mode of goodness. As it is explained here, mode of goodness is that platform whereby more easily one can transcend or can rise to the mode of pure goodness. Actually, just before these verses, a whole series of very important instructions that Srila Prabhupada often quotes, beginning with Srinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Vidyantastoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Surit Satam. The whole purpose of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole purpose of the Vedic culture, is to gradually give an opportunity to as many people as possible to purify their consciousness and to come to the perfectional stage. The perfectional stage, of course, is to be able to chant the holy name, by which we can realize the highest level of tattva, just like it is mentioning in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. Vedantitat tattva vidam tattva vyas jnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sajjate. unless one comes to that platform of Bhagavan realization, which is of course coming in contact and re-establishing our lost relationship, personal relationship with Krishna in pure bhakti, pure devotional service, and then we remain here in the material world. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains how there are many kinds of worship. Different kinds of worship will give different results. But the highest form of worship is, of course, the special feature of Srimad Bhagavatam. From the very beginning, Krishna, Supreme Personality. This is also, actually this will be, of course, the main focus for all the students who are attending this Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya, and the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, when we look at it historically, has been the main focus of all of our acharyas, because actually it is the main shastra, the most important shastra for all of us for this Kali Yuga. The whole world is in darkness, actually due to this lack of understanding, or actually not having come in contact with this great transcendental literatures of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, interesting point that Prabhupada makes, of course, in the purport. Although generally it is easier to rise to the platform of pure goodness from the platform of goodness, still if one is directed by an expert teacher, expert spiritual master, even from the lower forms of nature. I mean, when Srila Prabhupada went to the West, he basically encountered people who were totally in the lower, covered. So the Prabhupada chose New York City because New York City was, and maybe still is, I don't know, that place where there is the greatest presence of tamas and rajas. And therefore Srila Prabhupada wanted to go to the heart of Kali, wanted to demonstrate that actually when the message, pure message of the Bhagavatam is presented as it is, we are the as it is parampara, by the pure devotee of the Lord, then regardless of where one may be situated in terms of one's consciousness, even one may be in the lowest of the modes of material nature, by coming in contact with the pure devotee and the pure message of the Bhagavatam, one can be elevated. One can be elevated actually very quickly, and very quickly come to the, at least to the platform of goodness. It is actually, especially from that platform of goodness, as nicely explained in some of the previous verses, mode of goodness means actually the mind is peaceful, isn't it? One cannot sit in a Bhagavatam class unless one's mind is peaceful. Or at least one may be sitting, but one cannot be attentive to the Bhagavatam class unless one's mind is peaceful and attentive. So it is from that platform of peace of mind that one can actually nicely execute the activities of bhakti. Evam prasanamanaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sanghasya Jayate. Just a few verses previous to this one. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. Actually, very important statement because this Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam means realizing, understanding, having deeper and deeper understanding of Krishna consciousness is only possible ultimately by the mercy of Krishna. And that mercy of the Lord comes especially to those who are making that endeavor. Just recently I was hearing a nice lecture from Srila Prabhupada, who was explaining that in order to control the mind means to position the mind, especially in the mode of goodness. One should simply absorb oneself in Lord Chaitanya's mission. The mind needs engagement. Therefore, the best engagement we can give to the mind is to connect the mind to what is the mission of the Lord. Lord Krishna descends in the material world. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. Actually, our whole life, whether we are a full-time devotee in a temple or whether we are a full-time devotee at home, we should actually be full-time devotees in terms of commitment. So the best commitment is to actually become more and more connected with the mission of our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. And of course his mission, if we just study what, where did Srila Prabhupada especially focus? He focused on giving us the Srimad Bhagavatam. He focused on giving us this explanation which is being given here, that rising above, especially the lower modes of nature, becoming situated, especially in a mode of goodness. And Prabhupada would explain, mode of goodness means following very strictly the 4 rules and regulations. One cannot be in the mode of goodness if one does not strictly follow the 4 rules and regulations. And obviously, one cannot rise above that. So this whole knowledge of Krishna consciousness and this whole Srimad Bhagavatam subject matter is a very deep science. The real scientists are all here, sitting in the Bhagavatam class. And especially when we make a decision to spend quality time, which is what those who, in the Vedic culture, someone who attends Gurukula means he will spend many years. That means quality time he will give to hearing from Guru, to practicing discipline. We hear again and again how human form of life is especially meant for discipline, tapasya. Another nice statement actually I just heard recently, I forget, somewhere in the Bhagavatam, it was mentioning how Krishna is non-different actually from discipline. When we practice discipline, this was in this exchange between Lord Brahma, who shook hands with the Supreme Lord after meditating for many, many thousands of years. So discipline, Krishna explains, discipline or tapasya is my life and soul. Is my life and soul. tapasya brahmacharyena samena cha damena cha. These are important instructions which modern day society unfortunately has lost and has no interest of course. And therefore we have the kind of fallen condition, that severe degradation all over the world. And Srila Prabhupada understood that unless we present this knowledge, transcendental knowledge, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam actually is that knowledge. We'll get to hear about that a little bit later on this morning during the ceremony. But Bhagavatam is actually the answer. All of the knowledge needed for all of the problems existing today in the world are in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And especially it was Srila Prabhupada's desire, as we know, to re-establish this lost culture, lost Brahminical culture, lost Kshatriya culture, lost Vaishya culture, and lost Shudra culture. There's a culture in terms of becoming a qualified Shudra. That's a whole big topic in itself. And the pages, this particular chapter, Divinity and Divine Nature, is of special importance. So many wonderful, very profound instructions are actually given in this particular chapter of the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada actually inserted, when he arrived in America, 7 of these, 5 or 7 of these series of verses, culminating in what happens when one reaches that position of being situated in the mode of goodness. Then this hard knot within the heart becomes pierced, isn't it? And therefore, only at that time we can become free or liberated from the modes of material nature. The gunas, it's made reference to here, the gunas, these tight ropes are what is binding us in the material world. And we can only be freed from that by taking up actually to the process of bhakti. So the Bhagavatam is filled with many wonderful instructions, wonderful verses that establish again and again the importance of devotional service and its effect that it can have not only on a person individually, but the effect it can have also on the whole of society. So therefore, that is part of our parampara, that is part of our tradition, that is part of our lifestyle, to regularly be hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and gaining further and further insights as to this great science. Not only the science of bhakti, of course, we are part of the bhakti movement, but something important we often don't think about, I would say sufficiently, or maybe not even at all. As members of the Krishna consciousness movement and as representative of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is not only giving spiritual solutions. Ultimately, one has to come to the spiritual dimension of what life is all about. But also, the Bhagavatam and the Vedic literatures, they give us material solutions to many of the very severe malpractices that are being followed, that have been followed, and that are actually very destructive. Not only destructive to individuals, not only destroying our ability to become Krishna consciousness, but actually destroying the whole, as we are witnessing all over the world today, it's an important theme. Destroying Krishna's material nature, destroying Krishna's material energy. Krishna's material energy is Krishna. It is an expansion of Krishna. And as devotees, we are also meant to be concerned not only about Krishna as a spiritual person, but we're also meant to be concerned about how Krishna's energy is being looked after, or not properly looked after. And of course, this is meant to be the duty and responsibility of especially the three natural leaders in society. There are three natural leaders in society which we can learn about in a very wonderful way, and we can only learn about actually from the pages of the Bhagavatam. These three natural leaders is what in many ways is the cause of the whole chaotic situation that we find in the world today. We are very much lacking, and practically speaking, other than devotees, no one has the ability to understand who are those natural leaders and what they are meant to do in society so as to redirect society as Prabhupada wanted. Our Krishna consciousness movement is meant to redirect a misdirected society, isn't it? But that can only be done scientifically by understanding the role and position, and by actually training, giving an opportunity, educating individuals within society, not only our own immediate devotees, but people in general, on how to become qualified as natural leaders. And of course, there are many levels of leadership within society, but the three natural leaders that who are very much lacking today, of course, it begins with the spiritual leaders, the Brahmanas, therefore Brahminical culture. But then we are lacking in material leadership, isn't it? We are lacking in qualified Kshatriyas. And also, another very important leader in society are those who are the Vaishyas, those who are meant to properly look after the land, protect the land, look after the cows, protect the cows. So in many ways, it was the desire and the dream of Srila Prabhupada and he would instruct his disciples, his American disciples, you American boys and girls, you must establish here in America, beginning from America, you must establish the Brahminical culture. You must establish the Kshatriya culture. This is the mandate that we have actually as devotees, to hear from the Srimad Bhagavatam and to see, to understand how it is meant to be practically applied on a daily basis for the entire society. Krishna consciousness is meant, Lord Chaitanya's movement is meant for the entire world. Although initially Srila Prabhupada was collecting, going around different countries trying to collect individuals who could become Brahmanas. Some of them did, not all. But then Prabhupada also further instructed that our movement is not only for Brahmanas. Our movement is to also train up, and this duty and responsibility to train other members in societies, especially the duty and responsibility of Brahmanas. We will all get an opportunity later on this morning, as was announced earlier this morning, to hear more. Actually everyone, I believe, will get an opportunity to speak, at least to introduce themselves. And I should not go ahead of myself, but anyways, just sticking to this verse here. we should try to understand the great need and importance to ourselves to begin with, become firmly established at least in the mode of goodness and beyond, and endeavor as much as possible individually and collectively to bring as many people as possible to this mode of goodness. A few minutes are there for any possible comments or questions. Yes. Yes.
Many of us not clear properly what is the meaning of Daiva Varnasana, how is it different from Varnasana?
Okay. So the question is, kindly explain the meaning of Daiva Varnasana. We have heard about, we know Varnasana, but what differentiates Daiva Varnasana from Varnasana, I think is your question. Yeah. In 2 or 3 minutes. Anyways, it's not a very difficult concept, but it's a very important one. For so many years, actually, the whole Vedic culture in Kali Yuga, beginning with Sringi, having cursed Parikshit Maharaj. So that started actually the animosity between Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, which has continued. And then the whole thing exploded during Lord Buddha's time, because Lord Buddha, as we know, rejected the whole Vedic knowledge or Vedic culture because of misuse by Brahmanas. And of course, up until even now, Varnasrama and all of that has been seen as, has been abused, has been exploited and misunderstood in many different ways. It's quite recent that our acharyas, beginning with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, introduced the word Daiva. Why? Because they have introduced, and including our own Srila Prabhupada, because Varnashram is misunderstood. It's seen only as a material arrangement, and so therefore we tend to think anything material is less important, not so important. So therefore Daiva Varnashram means that actually Prabhupada, maybe we can explain that later on, but just to stick to this explanation, Daiva Varnashram means that system of Varna and Ashrama where every member, every Varna and every Ashrama, every member of those Varnas and Ashramas are centered or focused on the same thing. Means on service to Krishna. In other words, we can understand Daiva Varnashram as divine Varnashram or spiritualized Varnashram. That Varnashram, which is directed, actually the Kshatriyas are meant, that's one of their important responsibilities, to make sure that the Varnashrama system is established. The Brahmanas, ISKCON as a society, is not going to establish Varnashram. The Varnashram is meant to be established by Rajarshis, by qualified kings, by Vaishnava kings. And ISKCON is meant to create or guide such kings. So that means that everyone within the system will know about bhakti and devotion, and therefore we will not find the kind of enmity and competition. Therefore, Prabhupada actually, many of you may not know, Prabhupada referred to, he spoke about 4 movements, and I don't have time to explain this now, maybe later on, but it's very important. Prabhupada spoke about 4 movements. The last one he referred to as classless society. Classless society movement, the 4th movement, is referring to Varnashram. And by classless society, Srila Prabhupada meant the 4 Varnas and the 4 Ashramas But all the members of these varnas and ashramas are performing the same activity. And to help us understand more clearly, Prabhupada spoke about trying to see varnashram as like a drama. We are here right now in this body, living out, this particular life. So in the same way that somebody goes on stage on a drama, for an hour he might perform. We are performing for this lifetime, and we should take or see varnashram as like a drama. We accept a particular role, but we're not actually that brahmana. We're not actually that sannyasi. We are das anudas anudas in whatever role that we accept, in whatever role that we will be trained or directed to, which is something that of course may be confusing at this stage because we've not made sufficient, I would say, progress to really understand, okay, what role should I take? Where do I actually fit in the drama of varnashram? So this is given actually in the Bhagavatam. It is given also in a small essay written by Srila Prabhupada that appeared in the Back to Godhead magazine way back in 1956. And even before that, actually 1949, Prabhupada spoke about these four movements in a letter to Dr. Patel in 1949, and also in but in his essay on Gita Nagari. How many have read Gita Nagari? Raise your hands. Not many. Actually, it's in the folio. You can find it in the folio, Veda base, under Gita Nagari. Yeah. Very important actually, because Prabhupada, even before going to the West, the whole vision was there, how to introduce Lord Chaitanya's movement. It's a big topic actually, but in essence, that's what Daiva Varnashram means. Simply giving to Varnashram, to the material system of Varnashram, its spiritual coding, so to speak. Then it becomes, Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually mentions, Varnashrama performed in that mentality is devotional service. None different from devotional service. Anything else? That answers the question, hopefully.
Detail you can read your books.
Huh?
Detail you can read your books.
It's there also in the books, the different books. So thank you all very much. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Niki. Jai Sri Prabhupada Ki. All Pinandi. Any announcements from the local last minute announcements? No. 10 o'clock will be here, right?
Hare Krishna, we thank